That 1996, Prince Charles and Princess Diana got divorced. More than 4% of the UK population got internet access. Mitja Popovic, Serbian painter, died. And I moved to London and officially became a British Serb. My name is Maja Jordan. I was born in Belgrade, and my love for music led me to become a classical pianist. My other passion is promoting Serbia and Serbian culture, so I joined Serbian Council of Great Britain when it was founded in 2004 and have been an active member ever since. In the unusual circumstances in which we find ourselves in 2020, instead of self-isolating, the Serbian Council invites you to connect and share your story with others. We have different life experiences, but we have one thing in common. We were either born in Serbia or born in Britain but have Serbian origins, or are connected with Serbia in some way. So, what is your story? Let's find out what a couple story will reveal. Welcome! Dobrodošli na čašicu razgovora. Not many people have the honor to receive the birthday card by Majesty the Queen, and our guest, Vera Stanojlović, is one of them. So you can guess that she just celebrated her 100th birthday this October, and Vera, we wish you all the best, and from the whole Serbian community, as you've been a very prominent member, which deserves all these birthday wishes. Can you tell us, please, your life started in the country called Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenians, very different time in 1920s. Can you tell us a little bit about that time when you were born and how Serbia looked then?
Oh, I was born in Lazarevac, so that is a little Varošica, 65 kilometara južno od Beograda.
Yes, 65
I was born in Lazarevac, so that is the little, it's not village, but town, little town with 1,500 inhabitants. And I went to school in Lazarevac. There was, my mother was a teacher and father was a priest. When I finished the elementary school, I had to go to Belgrade to a gymnasium, to join to gymnasium, which I finished just before the war. And then I wanted to study pharmacy, and I was second year pharmacy when the war broke out. During the war, in Serbia in that time the life was easy, ordinary, nothing. People, they were happy that the war, First World War was finished, and we didn't really have very much inspiration to something bigger to come. They were really pleased to have ordinary life, just in peace, no guns, nothing. My town was very small. The streets during the summer they were dusty. During the winter they were always the mud. If you went somewhere, you had to take with you second pair of shoes. You go with one pair, and then when you come to the house where you are going to visit, you change your shoes. There was no lighting. Everybody had to go with a fenjer. The winters were very very cold and snow. I remember one year was minus 25.
Almost like Russia.
And when we had later on, when we built a new house, we had toilet in the house, but before that we had to go about 200 meters to the toilet. And now my father used to go with us, waiting outside, and he had pistol. And because wolf used to come when they were hungry, so he was, he had to shoot to give them that they know that somebody is there with a gun.
Wow, that was a different time, obviously, than nowadays.
Yes, yes. The snow, yeah, that was in winter. But the life was in summer. We used to go to Kolomara, which was 4 miles from Lazarevac. We had there swimming. Everybody used to go together. Everybody used to take something. I usually have a chicken with potatoes. And then we sat there swimming and after eating together and playing the games.
So it's a proper picnic in English.
Yeah, it was nice. We used to play the ball, and the people sitting there, they didn't like us playing with balls. So we used to sit there and sing. Ja uzmem metlu, pa čistim, pa bacim metlu, pa mislim, i ovima to dosadi, i oni napuste, i onda mi imamo prostor da se igramo loptom.
Yeah, the song is about cleaning.
Yes, we were like that. They couldn't stand anymore. They moved. And going back home, there was in the middle about, there was a well, and we used to sit there, drink cold water, and sing. It was nice. It was simple life, but it was, we were satisfied. We were happy.
Yeah, unfortunately, that idyllic life that you explained, although pretty simple in some way, but probably very rich in other way, which we not afford at the moment, has changed a lot because World War II came and had a huge impact on your life and your family lives. Can you tell us about that?
After the World War II, we thought that the democracy is coming. Actually, communists came, and I was in prison because I said something. They asked us one day that we should help Bosnians. Bosnia is in awful situation, and that we should. And I said, we said lucky. I said, of course we were lucky. We had General Nedic, and for that I went to prison for a week. And I saw then that the situation is not going to change, not only me, 5 of our families. So we tried to escape to Trieste and to wait till the situation changed. And I was caught trying to cross to Trieste, but I escaped in Fiume from the train. I was hiding with one family for 2 weeks, and then I came as a AFG, Anti-Fascistic Women Organization, to Trieste, and I was so happy that I crossed. When we crossed, then we were 4 of us in a taxi, and the British soldier was on the frontier. We got up and we started kissing him. He was so surprised. We were cuddling him, putting our hands round his, neck and kissing him. He was so surprised, frightened. So in Trieste, I stayed till a few months, and then they said they were kidnapping from Trieste Serbs. So we had to go to Naples. Went to Naples, from Naples to Mercatello, that was near Salerno. And it was hospital there. And then when the Allies, when the English and Americans were leaving Italy, they took us to Germany. And we went to North Germany near the Baltic. And we stayed there. I used to go, the food it had only 450 calories per day. I used to go to really to get some tomatoes, potatoes. And the Germans asked me, I said, I am Ostpreußen, East Prussia. Not to say that I am Serb. And used to get some potatoes. And we had our slava. We wanted to prepare for the slava, so we went from village to village to get some potatoes and something. And we walked because it was very wetted by the railway, is it? Mm-hmm. And the railway was up, made like, because it was, how do you say, the bank. Yeah. And we were walking. And then we heard the train and we went rolling down, and all of our potatoes that we collected, they were raw. Yes, after we had to start to look for them.
Oh dear. That sounds like a good adventurous story. A part of that was really life experience that you had. So almost unbelievable nowadays to listen your words. But I guess as you live life, you just carry on and try the best. And then you landed up in England after that in 47.
Yes. Then I wanted to come to England. And they said, if you come to England, you have to work for 3 years under that conditions. And they sent me to hospital in Plaistow, East London. And when we crossed the channel, came to Calais, Calais to Dover, I was surprised how the houses are all the same. The street, all houses. How could be that every house is the same? Every door is really the same. Some they had different color, but mostly the same color. How they could recognize their house? Yes.
Probably by numbers, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, very foggy. And then we had it was a rations for food. We didn't drink tea very much, so we exchanged our coupons for bananas. We prefer
good trade.
Because the coffee, you could buy coffee. Coffee was not Russian. And worked in hospital for 2 years. First, I couldn't understand the children. And there was a little boy who used to help me. He said, "Nurse, say get up." Get up. So to every child, I used to say, "Get up, get up." And then I met my husband. I got married, and he was in British Air Force, a Serbian, but he was sent to Singapore, and after 3 months I went to Singapore, and my first child, Jelena, was born in Changi. That was in Malaya, near Singapore. And after 2 years and a half, we came back to England, to Upavon. And then Olga was born in Tidworth. And then he was moved to London. Community was very small, very small. We used to go with all service in the church was in the front room of the house in Egerton Gardens. But when the Jews came here, and they were a few thousand, and the Egerton Gardens is near the Harrods, very posh place. And when we came down to Egerton Gardens, standing in the road, and all, you know, how they ordinary peasants looking, they were frightened. They were frightened. They thought it's going to overtake them. And then we got the church in Lancaster Road, and there was a Sara Milanovic who used to have kitchen. You could go to eat there. She cooked our food, and we used to go on Sunday and to the church, and after for a lunch. And if we needed money to raise for something, we used to have Zabava. And the Zabava, it was entrance, I don't know, £5. And then we had a lot lottery. And we used to make money, and then with that money we used to help the people who needed or ill or who couldn't find the jobs, and so that was our job. Always, if you have to raise the money, you could bring somebody to give a talk. You get about 40, 50 people. If you have some, you have hundreds.
It's the same case nowadays, exactly the same, because we struggle to get audience for events like cultural events, but for parties, which we call Zabava, there's always lots of people, so that's the way to go.
Yeah, the community was very small, and for Christmas, Lady Paget invited us for Christmas, and we went to Kingston on the hill. She had a house, and there was working for her the writer Cerniansky. Yes, his wife was a cook and housewife, and Cerniansky was a gardener. And
what a different time. Yeah, we all know Cerniansky just as a greatest writer of Serbia, but we didn't know that he had to work as gardener too. So does give us a little bit different life to life.
She cooked our food. Yeah, our food. And Lady Paget ate it. She was used, I think. She was before in Serbia during the First World War. So it was nice.
It seems that was very beginning of Serbian community gathering in those times. That was what, 50s or 60s, and it's very different afterwards. So you have been following the change of our community through the time. How community developed afterwards in the 60s and 70s? From this small group of Serbian people onwards. You've been a part of Kolo Srpskih Sestara, as I as I know, so you start to organize yourself.
We organized the Kolosevsky sestara. Kolosevsky sestara I uzeli mi tu slava, our slava was Tsar Konstantin I Carica Jelena. So Kolosevsky sestara used to have a slava, invite people. People used to come. Everybody brought something made or salty or cakes, and we sat together and we had nice. Then, of course, you have to have music. Music was very difficult. Simic, he has a call musica, and you have to ask him to pray to come to play.
Because he's the only one.
There was a man who has harmonica. What was his name?
Yeah.
You know, yes, he was to have us when we have Zabava to come to play. So on the end, I think my husband said, "Why don't you buy the record player, put the
Like a CD player and a music system.
and play on cassette? Yeah, on cassette to play." And I think that solved the problem for that.
You got modern technology at the time, and so technology always helps us to get forward. And tell us, afterwards, the time has changed, and our community has been developed definitely more. But then, new wave of people in '90s came with the war in former Yugoslavia. And what about that time? How you felt in that time, from your perspective?
We organized Yugoslav Center, Serbian Information Center, yes, to ask newspaper that the situation is so and so, not like that is represented. And I think we did use to inform the public here that the real situation in Yugoslavia.
You have been following our community from very beginning, like when it started with only few gathering, and it's developed nowadays quite a lot to these last 60 years, let's say. How you see the future of our community?
Now that is so their second generation. They don't, the children, like my grandchildren, they know that we are Serbs, but they feel English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard for those youngsters nowadays to keep connection. But you obviously managed with your daughters, which are very much involved, Jelena and Olga, in Serbian community.
Yes, Jelena and Olga.
Yes.
But Katarina and Alex,
your grandchildren. Yeah, your grandchildren are losing the connection, so we really have to try hard to keep them involved in our community too.
We try that they know our customs. They don't. They do know. They like Slava. They like Božić. We celebrate 2 Božić, 2 Easter.
Yes, 2 Christmases and 2 Easters, yeah.
We celebrate. They like our food. They like sarma. They like pechenye. They like Russian salad.
Yeah, you actually just celebrate your Slava on 31st of October. It's St. Luca is your Slava.
Yes, St. Luca.
Yeah, I can see the icon behind you. Yes.
Yes. Now 31st of October.
So are you still having gathering people? Oh, obviously not nowadays Corona, but generally you have quite a few guests, I guess, in your house for Slava, as I heard.
Yes. Yes, we Slava, we keep our custom. The Slava is something like important. Even if you are people used to, the soldiers, even if they were in trenches, they used to have a Slava.
Yeah, as you proved that you've been collecting potatoes at the beginning of the story to celebrate the same Slava, but nowadays
Yes,
it's much easier.
Slava.
Now, can you tell us about some funny story from all these times? Do you have any story to tell us which you find interesting?
Then my mother came, and she came by train. And when she came, my husband went to the station to wait, Victoria Station. And when she came out, when he saw all the parcels that he had, he didn't know what she has inside. The man put the hand in one parcel that was sucking pig. And he took his arm out and said, go, please. She had 100 eggs. She had cheese, one round Trappist cheese. She had dobosh torta.
Wow. Proper feast.
She brought she brought a matras, 3 pieces of matras, matras.
She really moved completely with everything possible.
Yes, he took 2 taxis. They couldn't stand everything in one taxi. One taxi was only with the food that what she brought, another 2 of them.
Yeah, I must confess, for my wedding, my parents also brought the suckling pig, but they packed it really nicely in the boxes.
Yes.
So nobody stopped them, and my husband keeps saying about it.
And 7.5 liters of rakia.
Oh wow, that's a proper black.
But they didn't notice. They didn't notice that she has. The only one bottle was broken, and Bosko was so sorry. She said, "Don't worry, I have 7.5
left."
Yes, and then my daughter was in Exeter studying, and she lived in a flat that was quite down. So I worried for her health, and I made one day sarma, put in a big oven. No saucepan, onaj što se zatvori, pressure cooker, and I went to Waterloo Station, and I went to the driver and said, could you please take this parcel to my daughter, and I will ring her up to come. And she went to Yeovil to give her sarma.
That's like nowadays, like collect.
Yeah.
But old-fashioned way, really. So you started that business much earlier than everybody else. Really.
Yeah. Yes, and in neighborhood we had also Yugoslav family, and they used to cook sarma, and the people reported that her cabbage is smelling awful.
It does.
And police came, and she said to him, would you like to try? And he tried, he liked the sarma, he said, don't worry, what they say, this is lovely.
Yeah, that does smell awful, but tastes great. So we have to just neighbors have to justify to our culinary specialities. Now, when you have experience of 100 years behind you, any advice to young generation about life?
But this new generation, they secure life now. They should not complain. They should just work, try to work to find, but nothing. It's not like that you have to be refugee, that you look where to go, how to save yourself. But they have more opportunity. They feel really life is, they have, when they don't work, they have also help. So fine. They should not complain. They should just enjoy their life and try to do honest work, and if they want to raise family, to raise the family.
You're absolutely right, because now generation doesn't look as happy as they should be, comparing with our time, and life was much more difficult, but we were possibly more happier than they are at the moment. So we just have to ask them to enjoy life and be more happy altogether. I absolutely agree. And now, can you please tell us the secret, if you can, how somebody can reach 100th birthday? There must be some secret there, or to reach that age.
I don't know. I never thought I will live. I always say to you every year, this year I will die, when I was 18. Now I have passed 700. I don't know. I know in our family, my granny died 69, but her sister, she died when she was 103.
Okay, so there are in your family others which managed to have a really long life, which is great to hear.
And they used to say that I never used to go by bus. I used to go shopping here in London, or I used to walk. And they always said I don't want to pay the ticket. But even when I got free ticket, I walked. Because when you walk, you see what shops are, what they sell, what everything.
Yeah. And you're also exercising in the same time.
If you go by a bus, you pass, you don't know. I knew every shop what sells in Uxbridge Road till Sainsbury, and after Sainsbury too. Yes, not smoking, not drinking.
Okay. So there are a few tips. Walking a lot, not smoking and not drinking, definitely got you to the position to celebrate your 100th birthday. I must say something that you haven't really mentioned, how much your presence in our community was valuable, because you have been one of the leading members of Serbian community through the years, and you've been leading the Kolosrpskih Sestara organization. Your husband was deeply involved with the church. He was in the church council. So Serbs really want to thank you and your husband, late husband, for all the work and building up this Serbian community. And now your daughters are very much involved too. So obviously you've been one of pioneers which helped us being on the place where we are at the moment. And I really hope that maybe we will chat next year after your 101st birthday and continue maybe with few more extra stories. We wish you all the best, and our community is grateful to all what you've done in your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Maya. Thank you.
You're welcome.